Aloha mai kako. My name is David Lassner, and I serve as the president of the University of Hawaiʻi, leading our 10-campus system and our flagship University of Hawaiʻi at Manoa. We serve these islands, which are the ancestral home of the Kanaka Maoli, or Native Hawaiian people. My own ancestry involves centuries of wandering, but I am now privileged to make my home in lush Waiomau within Palolo Valley, in the Ahupua'a of Waikiki, within the Moku of Kona on the island of Oahu. I am personally grateful to this place and her people, both of which have embraced me for over 4 decades. Over 125 years ago, Queen Liliuokalani yielded the Hawaiian Kingdom and these territories under duress and protest to the United States to avoid the bloodshed of her people. And it was nearly 30 years ago that the U.S. government formally apologized for this act, which it has acknowledged as an illegal overthrow. As the only public institution of higher education in Hawaii, the University of Hawaii is strategically clear in our commitment to become a model Indigenous serving institution, committed to the sustainability of Hawaii's people, islands, language, culture, and knowledge. This strategic imperative is named Hawaii Papaokeao, or the Hawaii Foundation of Enlightened Knowledge. So today I welcome you all, and I offer up an invitation to join us in celebrating the University of Hawaii's ongoing contributions to the advancement of Indigenous Hawaiian knowledge. Mahalo.
Aloha mai kako. I am Mainette Kapiahiokalani Patakinani Benham, Chancellor of the University of Hawaii West Oahu and co-chair of Hawaii Papaokeao, with Chancellor of Maui College, Dr. Louis Hokoana. Hawaii Papaokeao was established in January 2012 and consists of representatives from all 10 campuses. The purpose of this presidentially appointed committee is to set goals and objectives to address the higher education needs of Native Hawaiians through 3 pathways: leadership development, community engagement, and Hawaiian language and cultural parity. At our first meeting this school year, our discussions focused on how our Native Hawaiian students, faculty, and staff and their families were managing this challenging time. Committee members shared that folks on their campus were feeling isolated, disconnected, and depressed due to the psychosocial, emotional, and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we asked, what could Hawaii Papaokeao do? And after some discussion led by Tapori Tangaro, representative from Hawaii Community College, we decided that we wanted to address Indigenous well-being through the nourishment that can be found in the abundant talent and knowledge across our campus communities. Hence, the birth of the inaugural Hawaii Papaokeao series, He Ukana Aloha Kā Kīlauea. Mahalo for joining us today, and we hope to see you and your family and friends every month through June of 2021 as we lovingly share this makana with you. E nā nea kākou I ka ike kupuna I ho'owili ai mai ki kilo mai. Enjoy and be enriched by the wisdom passed down from our kupuna through so many generations to us today. Aloha.
No tihi lawe te aloha la hanali oka ke le tamoana la hana holoma mua holoma ho pela hana taupono tai hui tamatahani la hana haeo mai ki la hue ala Kamehameha Elima.
Aloha mai kako pau, everyone. Lono i ka makahiki. Lono i ka makahiki. Lono i ka makahiki. May the season of peace, gratitude, and excellence nourish your families. That was such a wonderful opening. Thank you, our Chancellor Maynette and David. Thank you so much for welcoming us to our own Mele Honouliuli here in University of Hawaiʻi, West Oahu. We welcome you in the Ahupua of Honouliuli, in the Moku of Ewa, and the Mokupuni of Oahu. We are here on this Aina Vela place of West Oahu to share with you our Mele Honouliuli. Now, let's begin, shall we? I'm just a little bit nervous because I'm talking to myself in an empty room. Hello, Kupihe, are you there? Are you there? Just kidding. Can you? Here it is. Here it is. I know. It's just me and you, Kupihe, for the next 45 minutes. Are you gonna be okay?
Let's do this.
Well, there's about 60 of us gathered, and it's nice to know that there's people out there, because speaking in an empty room is
nice.
Exactly what we're trying not to do. So let's get going. Here's our Mele Honouliuli. It is our vehe. It is what we do when we greet people here at UH West Oahu. Let's go over who developed it. There's our beloved Pu'u Zablan. Hi, Pu'u. So Pu'u was asked by Judy Oliveira to dream up something that we could do as a collective. We had a beautiful Oli before, and it was beautifully rendered by our students on our graduations, but it was a little long. So Pu'u, he just came up with these ideas, and let's go through them. So thank you, Pu'u.
Right on.
Today, I'd like to introduce Kupihe, our artist extraordinaire, beloved Kupihe. That Kupihe, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, aloha mai kako, Kupihe, artist. Thank everybody for showing up, who showed up, for your interest. And if you haven't gone down to the Naulu Center to check out the mural, I encourage you to do that.
Our Naulu Center, thank you, Kupihe. Our Naulu Center is located in the next to our cafeteria here at UH West Oahu. And my name is Manu Aluli Meyer. I'm the Konahiki here of Kulana o Kapolei, and there is a coconut. Hello, do you? UH West Oahu, of course, is the heart of the growing Kapolei area, and there it is in the center of Kaupea. And Kupihe is going to be describing some of these beloved sites of Ewa. So shall we begin, Kupihe? Let's begin. This is the mural. So when we discuss the mo'olelo of an area, it's really beautiful to have images. And we're going to keep going back to this mural because Kupi'ea, if you could describe this mural, how you did it, and then we can jump into the mo'olelo of Palihua, etc. Okay?
Mahalo, Manu, for that introduction to our nice little program here. And mahalo to everybody who is putting this on today.
Yeah.
And I also like to thank Melissa Saul, who was instrumental in getting me the opportunity to produce something like this. And also to my wahine Kehaulani, who was very instrumental in convincing Melissa to give me this opportunity. And it's, I always say it's when talking about this mural that it's a great testament to Kehaulani's, how much of a fan she is of the work that I do and what I've recently done, because I'm colorblind. So when I came across this job, I was extremely fearful and apprehensive, and there was a lot of stress involved, but I got through it. I got over it. I got some help and came up with my own, well, not my own, but went through the process, which could be considered as the classical form of training when you're doing the painting through fine arts, where you start off with the sketch, you do a grayscale, and then you do the color on top. So that's a simple breakdown of the process of the image itself. And then as far as the mo'olelo, Kehaulani worked for about 10 years within the field of contract archaeology. And she is a great resource as far as knowing how to find and where to find a lot of these cultural reports that were produced within the last 20 years. And it's mainly because of all of the urbanization that has taken place. So, there's that catch-22 there with urbanizing our Aina, but then there's a new birthing of, interest as well as reformation or resurgence of the na'o within the mo'olelo. And it's not always where the entirety of the mo'olelo is presented or translated, but at least there is a finger that kind of points you in the right direction. So there's a bunch of mo'olelo that are associated with Honouliuli. And aside from Pu'uloa, well, the Ka'ihu o Pala'ai, the west lock of Pu'uloa, with Kanekua Ana and Ka'uhupahau, who originate in Pu'uloa, there is no mo'olelo that originates in Honouliuli, but there are major mo'olelo that is tied into the Aina that is very, very significant. And one in particular, of course, is Hi'akaikapoli o Pele, who are the three faces on the top of the mural on the left-hand side. So
beautiful. So Kupi'ea, can we begin by telling everyone that we're going on a huaka'i? We're going on a huaka'i around Honouliuli, around Palihua, and we're around Pu'uloa, the older name for Pearl Harbor. There is much mo'olelo here, and so let's begin. So we're going to go on a huaka'i with you, Kupi'ea, because the research that Kehaulani and you did to produce this mural for the Naulu Center is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, Kupi'ea. So our huaka'i starts at Palehua, and the line goes, "Eo Palehua kuahivi la, ke kuahivi inoho i kalani." Isn't that beautiful? Palehua is found in the mist. And can you, in this map, can you point to where Palehua is?
Palehua is around the same level as the beak of the pu'eo on the map.
Right here. Nice. Nice. So, you know, as this is the place that where I live, Kupihe, we're just going to say a minute, and then we'll let you release the Kraken, because Palehua, you know, when Pu'u was thinking of this Mele, the mist was landing on the mountain right above our campus. And what he noticed was that it was very, very moist and he called the heavens actually landing on the land. And that's what it looks like. I live up there. And for me, Palehua, there's lots of different renditions of what Palehua means. Pa of the lehua, or pale. Pale is to thrust off. And because I live there, it is the thrusting off of the hua, of the egg in the morning. It is so like that. Not every morning, very rarely, but at least 5 to 10 mornings of the year. And I want to really thank Pu'u for noticing that, the beauty of the thrusting of that white egg yolk, the whiteness of the egg. And for me, that's what Palehua means for me. And mahalo to the Malama Learning Center, Pauline Sato and her gang, Chelsea, Jay, and the gang at the Camp Palehua. These are places that are keeping that site beautiful. So mahalo e Palehua, e o Palehua, ke kua hivi la.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Here we go.
Not just that mist, but also the dew is that something that is so special also, yeah?
Yep, it is. It is.
A natural phenomenon, yeah, that happens up there.
So then we go to Pu'u Kapole. Kupihe, can you jump into our sacred Pu'u o Kapole?
So Hi'iaka, when she makes her way to Honouliuli, she doesn't, when they come from Kauai, they're in the Va'a, and then they land at Waianae, and they kind of paddle along the coast. And what's interesting is that she doesn't just go along the coast of Waianae to enter into Honouliuli, but she actually makes this up through the valley of, up the mountain, end up atop of Honouliuli, above Pohakea above Palehua at Pohakea.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, she looks down on the land of Honouliuli. And the whole idea of the mural, as far as the center is concerned, and for you guys at West Oahu, was to have a visual reference for the students, the teachers, the faculty. So what we actually wanted to do was to map out the mo'olelo of Honouliuli, which the title is Kealahele Uhola. So it's the unfolding of Honouliuli. And I kind of wanted to portray that in a map that was, somewhat old. So the information was coming from a place that was far beyond us, but unfolding now in a new form that we have access to. So the huaka'i that Hi'iaka goes on from Pohakea down through Keahumoa, of course, to Kanehili, Oneula, and then to Pu'uloa. She makes her way down and to Pu'u Kapole. So Pu'u Kapole is probably, on the cultural side, probably the most significant landmark in Honouliuli. And there's several reasons or several opinions as to why that is. but in relation to the mo'olelo itself and what is said by Hi'iaka to the two wahine that she acknowledges at Pu'okapule, really spoke to me, and it is what is represented on the entirety of the right side of the mural. So the right side of the mural is basically what I conceptualized from Hi'iaka's Little Mele acknowledging Pu'okapule.
Nice. And there's a sunset. There's a Pu'okapule is famous for its astronomical alignments too, Kupihea?
Yeah, so my mana'o of Pu'okapule is that it is indeed a celestial viewing station. So to kind of simplify it, you know, the English version of the Mele that Hi'iaka does to Pu'okapule is actually those small little women that are in the center of the right side of the mural. And their names are Pu'okapule and Nawahine o Kama'oma'o. So Hi'iaka gives a greeting to the two of them, and she says, "Greetings to you, Pu'okapule and Nawahine o Kama'oma'o." And you know that you are sitting there together, sewing leis of kukui in the sun. The blossoms of the kukui, they are wearing the leis of the ma'o, and they also have lei of kaunaoa. Does it say kaunaoa and the strand in the strand of ko'olina? So that area over there is not quite pili with ko'olina, but it mentions ko'olina, and it might be the pilina or the connection with Kakui Heva, that being his favorite resting spot on Oahu. So within the structure of Mo'olelo, and because our kupuna made a conscious decision to survive on an oral tradition, a lot of tricks and devices that they called upon in order to put this mo'olelo together. And they did so in such a fantastic and clever and brilliant way that they layered so many different aspects of the social, of the cosmic, and of the personal life that Mo'olelo refers to. Mo'olelo also is a reference for. So
nice.
One of the major devices that they use is a play on words. So like Nawahine o Kama'oma'o. So I believe that Ma'oma'o is a play on Mau Mau, and Mau Mau meaning far, distant. So, and Kapule. So Kapule, so if you break it down, Kapo and Lei. So Po has, of course, that's the whole other thing when you look at the language and this whole survival or this whole reliance on language that is going to communicate everything from your surroundings to your na'au, your personal feelings, your intuition about everything around you is so concentrated and so layered in the language that, you know, we as modern Hawaiians, luckily we have, you know, Tutupukui's dictionary to look towards and to uncover a lot of these layers and to try and make sense of what we inherited from our kupuna and on this mo'olelo database that we have, because we are so far removed from the point in time where this mo'olelo was created, where for us today, we travel the path of Hi'iaka, but a lot of times it leads us into obscurity because we have lost that cultural reference, that poetic reference, that artistic reference, that cosmic reference, that chiefly reference. So all of these things play a huge part in all the different layers that was put and woven into this mo'olelo. And I'm just blown away every time, you know, I look into something like this. And this whole right side of the mo'olelo comes from this Mele. And, you know, mahalo to, you know, Puakea Nogamaya and his gang that, you know, did the translation from Ho'olumahi here. And this chant 166, I mean, it only has 10 lines to it. But when you uncover the layering, you know, it just makes sense. So kapole, you know, you think of it, po as the night and the lei as that which surrounds. And that is what the puhi represents. So the puhi o laumeki, which the mo'olelo is part of kapapapuhi and kaihu o pala'ai in Pu'uloa, that story of the Anai Holo. When you look at the image of the puhi itself, the puhi kapa, he is just bedecked with spots and dots and flecked with colors. And you know, when you think of, you know, a lei of the nighttime sky, a lei of the night sky, you know, I think of the Milky Way. And that's what I see on the puhi. I see the Milky Way on the puhi. So now the stars, this whole theme of it being a celestial view makes sense when you look at the names now. So Navahine o Kama'o Mau. So the distant, the far away, you know, the pua, the flowers, they're sowing leis. And when you look at astrology or astronomy, and you look at the alpha, beta, and theta stars of many constellations, they are red, they are yellow, they are white, they are pink. So the choices of plants and the colors of the flowers, you know, are in fact pretty close to what these constellations are or could be or would be from what was viewed with the naked eye. So, and they're sowing leis of kukui. So kukui is Polaris. Kukui is the hokupa'a. It is the North Star. And kukui is also the torch. It's the light. It's the leader. So Polaris is the one that leads everyone in the nighttime sky. And so from Polaris, you have the Ohai. So they are, they're sitting in the shade of the Ohai tree. And Ohai is a play on Hahai, which is to follow. So you have those distant women, those stars, those constellations, and they're up and they're following one after another. So, and then they're wearing lei of the Ma'o Ma'o. And again, Ma'o Ma'o is a play on Mao Mao. So the lei of Mao Mao, same again as the lei of Kukui. So they're stringing everything together. So now when you have done the actual physical act of making lei. So when you make lei, you are stringing flowers onto purposefully stringing flowers onto a cord. So imagine that you have cords that are set up in this area that the stars will slide up on top of. And these cords are in fact recording the sliding of the stars. So now you have the next lei that they have is the Kaunaoa. And the Kaunaoa is a interesting one because when you break up the word Kaunaoa, so kau is actually one of the terms for the Milky Way. And there are, a myriad of stars, and you have specific constellations that are pili to the Milky Way that show up during the summer and winter season. So that, you get in more closer and more specific to this time telling. So, and o'a o okina e is rafters on a house. That's one. And two is fish gills. And it sounds off, and it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound fitting. But if you ever look at a picture of fish gills, next time you on Google, you Google an image of fish gills, there's a structure within, that part of the i'a that is semicircular, which kind of like is the bone or cartilage element. And then you have like these red feathers that come off of that bone cartilage structure. And they look very much like it could be rafters of a structure,
Nice.
and
Nice.
it goes in a semicircular motion, and the feathers look like they shoot out from a single point of origin that would be in the center of a circle. So at a celestial viewing station, normally, the person who is the viewer that is calling out, who is rising, when, and where, is at the center of this circle. And you have all of these posts that are set up. And the next word in the Mele that is pili with the Kaunaoa is ko'olina. And ko'o is the post. The ko'o is the staff. The ko'o are all of the posts that are placed in that semicircular position to the vantage point of the viewer. And from Pu'u Kapolei, when you standing due east, you facing due east, you have the mountain range that you see. And what is the mountain range called? Ko'olau. So you have Pu'u that's on the Ko'olau mountain range. From that vantage point that will align with the rising of Orion, Sirius, Makali'i, every star that rises in the summertime and the wintertime, that lets you know specifically what time of the year it is. So all of this information is being gathered. and it's being woven into a specific form that is later related to the rest of society. And you can think of mo'olelo as the the form of entertainment and the news and social media all rolled in one for Wakahiko. I believe that they had specific dates and times where specific portions of these mo'olelo would be chanted, acted out, like in hanakeaka, or done in hula form, that told you what time of the year it was. It told you what constellation was rising and setting, where the sun was, whether you were in a summer solstice or a winter solstice. You also had this mo'olelo would tell you what flowers were blooming. So those were indicators of different species of fish that were traveling, that were running, that were spawning. So that let the maka'ainana that were lawai'a, let them know what to catch, what not to catch, so that they were all on the same page as far as sustenance, but conservation at the same time. And then for the mahi'ai, you knew when to plant, when to harvest. And then, of course, it'll let you know when, of course, makahiki came around, right? It's a big one, makahiki.
Big one.
Yeah. So, because the whole dynamic of, Hawaiian society changed as soon as makahiki began. So everyone had to keep track of that, because if your crops didn't produce, or if your tribute didn't come out as good as it was supposed to, or as you intended, or as you promised, you could potentially be in big trouble. So this mo'olelo was essentially a really creative and clever guide, for the social structure. And beyond that, just from, you have the spiritual structure, the political structure, and a lot of what was going on in the heavens, was looked upon as ho'ailona, as signs, as omens, and it would pertain directly to the ali'i, who were they were the voice of the ancestors, of our akua, of the gods. So a lot of important things rolling around. So I think it made sense that they went through, they went to great lengths in order to collect all of this information. And the more information that you gather, as we all know, we living in this modern technological, scientific era, that our society and our technology is, evidence that the more information, the more experience that you have, the more successful you're going to be at something. And for our kupuna, I believe it all came down to mea'ai. It all came down to food. So the more information that you had, the more knowledge that you had of the heavens, which told you the season, a lot of times, like Papa Mao, Papa Mao was phenomenal at reading clouds during sunrise and sunset. He could tell you exactly what the day was going to be like, what tomorrow was going to be like. And he wasn't wrong very often, so the heavens are such an important part of our society. And, it's no wonder that a lot of things point upwards towards the heavens. And a lot of things are referenced towards the heavens, are symbolic of the heavens, or are metaphoric of the heavens. So it's not just a physical guide that you can see, but it's also something that is metaphorical, potentially metaphysical, that you shoot towards, that you want to emulate these characteristics of the characters in the mo'olelo, you know, who they represent, what they represent. So going back to the you know, the social aspect of the mo'olelo, you know, there had to be a way that our kupuna substantiated, you know, good and bad, acceptable and unacceptable behavior within society, and, you know, emulating the, you know, the gods and the akua within the mo'olelo was just, you know, one avenue that was looked after.
Ui, kupi hair.
Yeah.
I gotta take a breath with you now to let you to keep going on this huakai, because we just pulled up under a ko tree and a kukui, and by the way, Kauno'oa is still there in Kalailoa and Kapolei. There's choke Kauno'oa, and I love that about this place. And we are mahalo for that ike kupuna, mahalo nui. Our word for science, many words for science in indigenous circles, and my favorite one is kilo. And what you are just describing is the capacity to witness, to watch, to open your eyes. Because if you have noticed, our makahiki season is well underway. Nahuihui and Makali'i, our seven sisters, the Pleiades, rose in the east at sunset. So the party was on. The party is on. No war. So these are the things that Kupihe is bringing to mind. And Pu'u Kapolei was so important that John Ka'imikawa came and helped raise our awareness. They made this hula pa here, and Mikiala Lidstone of Ulua'e Learning Center is now creating the makahiki ceremonies and the makahiki movement and hula there. Their group is just beloved for us here at UH West Oahu. So mahalo nui, Mikiala, and for keeping Pu'u Kapolei. At the center of Kapolei town is this Pu'u, and it was the home of Kamapua's kupuna that Kupihea has also drawn into this mo'olelo. But let's continue, Kupihea, because we've got some other places to go besides Pu'u Kapolei. All right, we've got the next one we are going to is Kapapa'apuhi. So here we go. Kapapa'apuhi. What's the mo'olelo?
You know, one of the cool things about mo'olelo, you know, is as it doesn't just give you, you know, the place name or the name of the stream or the mountain, or, you know, the lo'i or the loko i'a that's there. But one of the cool things that I discovered is that, like, even within the place name itself can give you a little snapshot of what was done in the area, when, why, and how. It sounds ridiculous, but so Kapapapuhi, which is the name of that point in Pu'uloa, and it's a little park now. And you said it's being malamad by a hui now, but Kapapapuhi, in one of the stories of the Anai Holo, and if you don't know the story of the Anai Holo, it is the mullet that spawn in Pu'uloa. They reach the stage of Anai, and then they travel from Pu'uloa all the way around Makapu'u, all the way to Malaikahana. And they turn around there amazingly and go back the exact way they came and go back to Pu'uloa, and where I think they mature to be the ama, and the cycle starts all over again. So in one version of the story where you have the puhi o laumeki. The puhi is the one who drives the anai from Pu'uloa to Malaikahana, almost, as if it was like a cattle drive. So the puhi, encouraged the i'a on their travels. And as they also, followed willingly. And so if you imagine, the puhi as the Milky Way, these anai are using some kind of navigation system that they themselves have innately within and go on this huaka'i. Now the name of the place doesn't, this one version, well, the story itself doesn't have this mana'o, which is the name is giving you a way in which to catch the puhi. So the papa puhi is the net. So papa puhi, so a bag net, papa, and for the puhi. So it's a specific type of bag net that was used to scoop the puhi up. And papa was also a torch that was used. And you would use the torch to, when you see the puhi at night during low tide. So ho'opa is to touch. One translation is to touch, and you touch the puhi's tail with the torch, and he automatically coils itself up, and you scoop him with that net. Now ka'ihu o pala'ai, and pala'ai is like rotten food, rotten meat. Palahe is like rotten, sour. And that was the bait. So you would put the bait out, and the puhi would catch the whiff. Ihu, he would catch the scent of this rotten bait, and he would be attracted to the smell. So you didn't necessarily even have to go out on the papa to look for the puhi. He would come to you. And that's where you would burn his huelo, burn his tail, and he would coil up, and you scoop him up, and that's all she wrote.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous, Kupi Hair. Kupi Hair, can I interrupt you? We've got about 10 minutes left, and can you talk about Kane Kua'ana and the mo'olelo of Pu'uloa?
Kane Kua'ana is an interesting one, and can you hear me? Is it okay?
Now we can.
Okay. Yeah, so she is the mo'o goddess of Pu'uloa. And so she is said to have introduced the whole species of oyster to Pu'uloa. And then in the same story, she actually takes it away because the people are, not following her rules that she's laid down specifically. And that happens a lot in mo'olelo, where, the rules are being put down, and, as soon as you know what the rules are, the next thing that's going to come in the story is, that somebody's going to break the rules.
Totally.
But, it's all part of that teaching tool, so you have to, within the structure, you have to lay down what the rules are. Somebody will break the rules, what the consequences are, and then you have to know how to appease the, the goddess and make things right. And
and there's Ka'ahupahau also. These are wonderful names that bring to life the mo'olelo of Eva. And Ka'ahupahau is our kia'i mano of Pu'uloa. Yeah, beautiful images, Kupi Hair. Beautiful.
Mahalo.
And then who's that ali'i down there too? Can you describe?
So we cannot leave today without talking about Kakuhi Heva.
Oh, yay! Say the word.
Yeah, Kakuhi Heva.
We're in Oahu. Nice.
So now, a cool thing about mo'olelo, especially mo'olelo that are, you know, really pili with Oahu, or that is, you know, is woven into the moku of Oahu. A lot of the mo'olelo will mention Kaku'i Heva as the ali'i nui of Oahu. And it's interesting because the mo'olelo that we have inherited seems like it has a time stamp on it. And if you know the era of Kaku'i Heva, that is the timestamp that is placed on our mo'olelo, as he is the reigning ali'i, the heavyweight champ that is, you know, being talked about in the stories. And if you go back in time further, you know, you would, in the mo'olelo, would probably have his grandfather, Maili Kukahi, or maybe his great-great-grandmother, Kukani Loko. And it's a pretty cool, interesting, and clever thing that our kupuna did with the mo'olelo, how it was continuously or generationally updated. You know, as society got more and more complex, you know, as the population grew, you had different needs that had to be met. You had, you know, different concerns that need to be taken care of, and within the realm or the structure of the mo'olelo, you touched on these things. And, you know, some of the things that Kaku'i Heva did within the mo'olelo, you know, was to separate certain parts of the island, especially his grandfather, Maili Kukahi, how he established the Ahupua'a system. So that's a good example of how, you know, mo'olelo is continuously updated. And the relation to the heavens. So I thought of, you know, why was he named Kakuhi Heva? You know, you think of the name Heva, you know, it's, if you know the definition of Heva, you know, it's not something positive. But I think the name, you know, well, the translation is that his name puts him in this central position within the heavens. And going back to the mural, above the head of Hi'iaka that is looking towards the island of Kauai, you see a constellation there. And the constellation is actually referencing the archer that is at the bottom of the mural in the first triangle, the archer with the bow and the arrow. And his name is Pikoeaka Alala. And the Alala, the crow, is that constellation right above the island of Kauai. Now, in our seafaring tradition, and, you know, you have to acknowledge the fact that we were people of the sea, you know, before we were ever people of the land. You know, if you look at our history and you look at how, you know, arguably we were the greatest navigators on earth as far as any race or nation is concerned.
Yes.
But that constellation of the Alala is also called the Ka, or the Baler. This Ka is in this alignment that is referred to as the Ivikua Mo'o. So it's a line that goes in the heavens from north to south. So you go from the north, from Polaris, from Hokupa'a to Hokulea, to Hikianalia, to the Ka, then you go to the false cross, and then to the true Southern Cross. So the Ka points to the false cross, which then points you to the true Southern Cross. So I think his name is that point where the Ka points to the false cross. Ka kuhi is to point. Ka kuhi heva. The Ka pointing to the false cross. And, you know, it's like, so what? So what? What's the significance of that? But that particular constellation sits within the middle point, just about the middle point when you look at the Milky Way. The Milky Way does this incredible arc within the heavens. And you have Hokupa'a at the top, which would be like the tip of the arrow. And you draw a straight line down, which is the shaft of the arrow. And he is the shaft of the arrow, and he connects north to south. So he connects the heavens to the Aina. He connects North Hawaii to South Kahiki. So there's this layering in his celestial position in connecting us from our present to the future, to the past, all simultaneously at the same time. What blew my mind is that in Greek astrology, that same constellation that is the Ka, that is the Alala, is referred to as Corvus the Crow. So you have two cultures separated by thousands of miles, a couple thousand years, that have the same reference in the sky. And how interesting is that?
That blows my mind, Kupi'ea.
So,
okay, you guys, you're being tested on this. So in 5 more minutes, you're gonna have to write your answers down. What is Kakuhieva? What is the alignment? Because, you know, Kupi'ea, believe it or not, we've got 3 minutes left. So that was unbelievable. And that is a celebration of our Ike Kupuna. You got to know that this artist is to be honored, is to be affirmed, and his beloved partner, Kehaulani, we absolutely appreciate your depth and your purpose, Kupi'ea, because that is just the tip of an iceberg, and we celebrate Makahiki with you today. But I'm going to have to start to close this down. Would you like to say a final sentence on your love for Eva? And
I'm just,
Kupi'ea?
Yeah, it's this mahalo, our kupuna that left us this phenomenal database of information. And, I'm just, I'm just the illustrator. I'm just the guy who's happened to be able to draw you a picture,
totally.
to help to understand. It helps to have a picture in order to understand, right? So now you can see what I'm talking about, right?
What an incredible! We so can see. You are the Keaupukohala. You are the clouds that face the sunrise, and that we look to help us understand ourselves more. Because that was Ike Ono. That was the Ike that is astounding to us. And Kupi'ea, you are a treasure and a gem of our people. So
Manu.
Yeah,
really appreciate that.
Really, you help me understand. You help us all understand the purpose of why the rejuvenation of our culture and our language and our values and our principles are absolutely key for this time of COVID and for this pandemic. May we continue to be inspired by your wisdom, your Ike, and the beauty of your art, and the love that you hold for our people and places. And so let us be inspired by Kamehameha V, when he went to our islands and beloved people during times of trouble. You have come to us to inspire us with the depth of your knowledge and the depth of your commitment to our people. So Mahalo nui no ko ike kupai naha. Mahalo nui. Thank you everyone for being here. And as we say in the hinterlands of all hinterlands of Hawaii, lono i ka makahiki. Lono i ka makahiki. Lono i ka makahiki. Mahalo nui for being here, everyone. And kupihea, mahalo nui. Aloha mai, everyone.
Aloha.
Take good care. Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.